Yo, what's up, guys? It's Persian Predicts. A lot of you'll know me as Ashkan, and today I'm gonna be predicting the group stage of the Asian Cup 2023, which is obviously starting in 2024 due to the delays that have occurred. And it is starting in 2 days' time on Friday, the 12th, between Qatar and Lebanon. Now, obviously, this is the first video I've done in a very long time, as a lot of you may know. It's my first video in 2 years. And the main reason for that is obviously a lack of motivation, schoolwork, forgetting about the channel if I am being totally honest. So obviously I'm back and I obviously love this competition. I've been watching it. The first time I watched it obviously as a little kid, good 10 years ago. Obviously a lot of heartbreak over the years with the national team in competitions like this. So I hope that Iran are gonna go on and win it, but I heavily doubt it. I think we're probably the furthest away in terms of chances of actually winning this competition. Obviously, I think we have a lot less of a chance this time round than what we had in the previous times. I think our great chances of winning this competition have probably diminished, but even as an Iranian, I can sit here and predict the whole group stage from the outside looking in, and it's going to be a very interesting competition. I'm going to be doing content throughout this competition. Obviously, I'm going to try to do a watch along. Well, I'm going to try do watch alongs for every single match that Iran play. And in addition, I'm going to be trying to do watch alongs for other games as well. So I'm thinking one a day is probably a good number that I could try achieve. So I'll see what I can do. But watch out for the watch alongs. Obviously, I am on Twitter. I'll put that in the description. So I will be returning to Twitter as well. So I'll be more active on there in the times coming. So let's just get straight into it and see what's going to happen in these groups. So I've got my PC in front of me. I've got all of the six groups right in front of me on the PC, and I'm going to be predicting these. So let's go. So in Group A, we have the hosts, Qatar, we have China, Tajikistan, and Lebanon. Now, in my opinion, in this group, it's going to be as simple as probably the order of the seeding. I think, excuse me, ruffling my nose. I think Qatar will top this group simply down to the fact that they are at home. I don't think they're much I don't think they're any better than what they were when they won the competition. Obviously, it is worthy noting that they are the reigning champions. You would expect them to top this group, obviously, at home. Confidence of obviously them having the experience of the World Cup and the reigning champions of this competition, obviously, as we all know from 2019, 5 years ago. But they aren't as good as what they were back then. They've been declining. So I would still expect them to top this group, but I wouldn't really expect them to go much further than the quarterfinals, or maybe the semi-finals, depending on who they would face. There is probably a good chance that Qatar would face either Iran or South Korea in the semi-finals from what I've seen with the brackets. But obviously, I would expect Qatar to top this group. Second place, a little trickier. Obviously, China have been aging, obviously, as we know, as the years have gone by in this sport. However, I would still expect them to finish second in this group for sure. Third place, maybe a bit of an upset, if you will. I wouldn't really say it's an upset nowadays. I would say that actually Tajikistan would finish third in this group. Reason being, they're on the up, while the side that I think will finish last, which is Lebanon, who were very close, as far as I'm concerned, to making it to the knockout stages in the year 2019, the last Asian Cup. They were very close to making it through. They didn't make it through because obviously there was, I think, the head-to-heads. No, I think there was yellow cards between them and Vietnam had the better of the disciplinary record, I believe it was. In that regard, so Vietnam made it through and ended up going to the quarters. Lebanon were knocked out in heartbreaking fashion. So that's what happened obviously last time out. This time, I think they've got a decent chance, Lebanon, but from what I've seen, it hasn't been pretty recently. There's not really been a lot of confidence within Lebanese football, and I would expect them to finish last, honestly. I think Tajikistan will finish third, may even get 4 points, but could it be one of those groups that don't have the third place side going through? Potentially, obviously, that could happen because there may be a few draws in there, but I would expect Qatar to finish top, China to finish second, Tajikistan to finish third, and Lebanon to finish in fourth. So when it comes to Group B, we have Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria, and India. Now, I think this is relatively straightforward. However, again, there may be a bit of a twist in there, to be honest, because it is worthy noting that the Syrians have, in my opinion, fallen off a little bit from what they were maybe 6 years ago, when they were very close to qualifying for the World Cup, when they had the playoff with Australia for the World Cup in 2018. They just about missed it, and I think that's probably the best team they've ever had, and I don't think they're going to reach those heights anytime soon. They have a recent record at the Asian Cup, as we all know, where it's not been great, not scoring too many goals, not registering that many points, and I think that may continue here. But obviously, we see teams like Australia. I think they will top the group. I think Uzbekistan, second place, probably destined. I do think that India here will finish in third place. I think they're a team that have improved as of recent. When you look at the Syrians, that's a team that probably have, you know, dropped off a little bit in recent years. Therefore, I think that India will finish in third. Maybe good enough to go to the next round. We'll have to wait and see. Syria, on the other hand, I think they'll finish last, maybe a point at tops. But that's just off the basis of the recent years. I think they have took a step down instead of a step up, and I think that's obviously very disappointing to see from their perspective. Obviously, aside after what happened in the 2018 qualifiers, you'd expect them in the 2022 qualifiers to pick it up and take that step further. Maybe go through the playoffs, go to the intercontinentals. Unfortunately for them, that never happened. They did quite poorly in their group, from what I remember. They were a bit of a pushover in the qualifying groups for the World Cup for 2022 qualifying. They're not in a good situation, the Syrians. And India are just improving low key. They are getting better. I think they are a side that within the next 2 or 3 World Cups will be very good contenders to qualify. And with the expansion of the World Cup, obviously from 32 sides to 48 sides, India have got a good shout. I think Asian sides will maybe have around 7 or 8 teams definitely in the next World Cup. So I mean, they'd be fancying their chances, that's for sure. So no, I think they'll finish third in this group, and I think Syria will finish last with Australia, top of the group, at least 7 points. Uzbekistan finishing second. So Group C is where it gets real interesting for me, and that's because my boys Iran will be in a group with the United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, and Philistine. Now, our opening game is against Philistine. I expect us on Sunday to wipe the floor. To be honest with you guys, with them, it should be quite an easy game. Should be at least 4 or 5 goals, depending on obviously how much energy we want to burn in that first game. But obviously, we have to be aware they are a side that are constantly qualifying for this competition, so they obviously do hold some sort of a threat. A side that don't usually qualify for this competition, as far as I'm concerned, is Hong Kong. We do have quite a recent history with those guys, though. Obviously, in 2019 we played them, beat them 2-0 in the second round qualifiers. In 2021 we played the reverse fixture after COVID. We beat them 3-1 from what I remember, and then obviously we played them a few months ago, and again second round qualifiers for the next World Cup qualification rounds. In the second round, yet again, and we beat them by 4 goals to 0 in Tehran. So we have a recent history. We kind of felt them out a little bit over recent years, and we should be also beating them, it must be said. With the UAE, it's a little more tough, obviously, but again, we do have a recent history with those guys, and it should be quite a routine victory. I don't mean to be arrogant. I know what I'm saying, because I don't predict us to go on and win this competition, because we're nowhere near any of the top 2 or 3 best sides. There are at least 3 sides better than Iran. But for this group, we are the best. We should be topping it. It should be quite simple, to be honest. And even the UAE, we should be beating. We should be beating quite comfortably, to be honest. A 1 or 2-0 for sure. They've not impressed me either, the United Arab Emirates, in recent years. They've not really improved. It's just a weird state. The club football in Asian Champions League, they're not consistently having sides qualify for the next round. Even our league have some sides here and there that go through with them. Not too much. Do you know what I mean? And considering the money that goes into it, some of the players there, it's quite disappointing to see. Obviously, not for me, but in general, it must be quite disappointing with the amount of money they've spent, how little they've really improved over these years, the United Arab Emirates. Obviously, they're a decent side, probably a second-rate Asian side, but we should be beating them by at least one goal in the margin in the scoreline, and we should be getting at least 7 points in this group, topping it. So that's what I'm going to go for. The UAE obviously will finish second and qualify for the round of 16. Third place is a bit tough. I think that Philistine obviously have the experience in this competition, I guess, over the last 8 or 9 years qualifying for the previous two competitions. Didn't score in the last Asian Cup from what I remember. They did register 2 points though. I think they got a draw against Surya and they got a point against Jordan. So obviously they do have quite a bit of experience. They scored a goal against, was it Japan in 2015? So yeah, they have quite a bit of experience and you would probably expect them to edge the proceedings between them and Hong Kong. So I'm going to go for that to be the case. I'm going to say Philistine finished third. I do think they will be one of the worst third place sides. I think they'll be in that bottom two for sure when it comes to third place sides. Therefore, I think they'll miss out. So yeah, I'm going to go for Iran to top it, the UAE to finish second, Hong Kong in third. No, Philistine in third. And I'm going to go for Hong Kong to finish last and get knocked out. Although they've done very well to qualify for this competition for sure. That's for sure. Now, in my opinion, this is the most interesting group. We're going to be moving into Group D now. Japan are in a group with Indonesia, Iran, and Vietnam. Now, this is a very interesting group because there is only one winner in this group, and that's Japan. So that's not interesting. We know they're going to finish with 7 or 9 points, dependent on if they've wrapped it up by the end of match day 2, which they probably will have. Japan should be getting at least 7 or 9 points in this group, that's for sure. But the second place is a bit interesting, actually. I'm seeing a lot of um, pessimism amongst Vietnamese supporters. Obviously, it's been a bit of a rocky phase transition, if you will. They had a very solid North Korean coach in the recent Asian Cup. They got to the quarterfinals. They did very well in that game against Japan, who they're in a group with here. They got knocked out. I think it was 1-0. I think they conceded a penalty in that game. But they did well. They created 1 or 2 chances and, weren't too far off the semi-final of the last Asian Cup. So they were very good. We played against Vietnam in 2019. We beat them 2-0. It wasn't an easy game. We should have conceded. In this group here, Japan will top it. Iraq, Indonesia, Vietnam. I expect Iraq to finish second. Now, they have improved. They have definitely improved. And it's definitely not. Um, they had Dick Advocat recently, and around 2 years ago, that didn't go well. They had another foreign coach, but they have settled down with the new coach. They're getting some good results. I think they recently lost 1-0 to South Korea in a friendly, but I don't know if they had their best team out on the day. So some good preparation there, pre-competition, that's for sure. Iraq are in a good spot. They're in a good spot. I think their fans are very much, um, what I would say, they're confident going into the competition, if you will. And I think they'll finish second. I think they'll finish second, and they'll fancy themselves in the knockouts, depending on who they play in the round of 16, if they make it, which I think they will. So I think Japan will finish top. I think Iraq will finish second. But when it comes to third and fourth, Indonesia and Vietnam, this may be a little bit of an upset. Now, I've heard, again, obviously there's a quite popular YouTuber in the Asian community known as Maxwell. He's a Vietnamese content creator, and he's been saying how basically their best midfielder, attacker, defender, even goalkeeper are injured. Vietnam have a lot of injuries. Now, if this is the case, Indonesia obviously improving. Vietnam in I would say, a transitional period. Is it ridiculous to say that Indonesia would maybe get third place in this group and Vietnam crash out? I don't think it would be, and I'm going to go for a little bit of a surprise again and say Indonesia make it to the third place spot. Again, whether that would be enough for them to go through, I'm not really too sure, but they definitely put themselves within a shout if they are to finish in third place. And in fourth place, I'm going to go for Vietnam. They have a lot of injuries, as has been documented. So many injuries. I think they're playing more attacking football than what they did under their previous North Korean coach. That could prove to be quite a bad idea when you're playing against good players. That the Japanese have some top class players in Europe, as we all know, and Iraq are second rate Asian side, maybe bridging the gap into a top Asian side very soon, and maybe they could prove that in this competition. So we'll see what happens here, but I think Japan will top it. Iraq will finish second and go through with them. And I think Indonesia are going to give themselves a big chance going through by finishing third. And Vietnam, just because of the injuries catching up and maybe the period they're in, fourth place, bottom of the group, out the competition. So the next group we have is South Korea, Malaysia, Jordan, and Bahrain. Obviously, I'm just going to double check. Yes, that is the group F that we have, the fifth group. South Korea, Malaysia, and Jordan, Bahrain. In this group, South Korea will probably top it, let's face it. No real upsets there. 7 or 9 points for sure. But between Malaysia, Bahrain, and Jordan, Jordan, it must be said, or done, should I say, they did very well in the previous Asian Cup. They only got knocked out by the Vietnamese on a penalty shootout in the round of 16, from what I remember. Bahrain got to round of 16 as well, and Malaysia, this is the first time they were in it, I think, since 2007, when they co-hosted it with the other Southeast Asian nations. Oh shit, it just continued. I don't know what happened there with my editing, or pause button didn't work there, but listen, South Korea will probably top this group, let's face it. But in second place, between Jordan, Malaysia, and Bahrain, I'm gonna go for Bahrain. Honestly, I just think again, I have to use that word because it does matter at this level. Experience pays a lot of dividends at this level, and Bahrain are in literally every single Asian Cup that is around. I mean, when was the last time they weren't in the Asian Cup? Is the question I'd ask. I don't know if they've ever missed one in this century. It's been a very long time if they have. So they have the experience at this level. They'll finish second in this group. Third place, Iran played against Jordan in the friend. I think it was a friendly in some sort of mini competition in October. And to be honest with you, we got very lucky in that game. Jordan actually did quite well. We were 2-0 up. They got a goal back. And right at the end of the game, they had a penalty to equalise and I think send it to a penalty shootout. They missed it, and then literally a minute later, we went and scored. Now, they are a half decent side, let's face it. And, round of 16 in the last competition, Malaysia will be feeling themselves. Again, this is another Southeast Asian side that, let's face it, they're improving. I just think on this occasion, it's a step too far. It's just a little step too far for the Malaysians. I can't keep predicting them to, cause upset and whatnot. I'm going to go for Malaysia to finish last. Um, Obviously, maybe some of the supporters and followers may be watching this video. I apologize. I don't mean it in a bad way, but it'd be very nice to see a team like Malaysia do well. However, I'm going to say that it doesn't quite happen this time around. Maybe a bit too early for Malaysia. I'm sure they have a lot of young players that are doing well and excelling at this level, and maybe their club football's improving and whatnot. But South Korea for me will top this group. I think second place will go to Bahrain. Jordan or Ordan will finish in third, and I think fourth place will be for Malaysia, who will finish last and bow out the competition with maybe a point or two to their name at tops. So the final group in the Asian Cup will be between Saudi Arabia, Kyrgyzstan, Oman, and who will it be? Saudi Arabia will play against Kyrgyzstan, Oman, and Thailand. I'm very sorry for having to double check that. So Kyrgyzstan, Thailand, and Oman. Now, Oman, from what I know, obviously have Branko Vankovic as their manager. Obviously, he's a good manager at this level. The Saudis obviously have not been as good as what they were under Hervé Renard. They've had a lot of dodgy results. I'm just looking here. Apparently, they drew 0-0 to Philistine yesterday, so that's interesting. I don't know how many strong players played or whatnot, but maybe that's something that we have to look into. I doubt that we'll be able to, you know, see what happened in that game maybe through broadcasting, because obviously, as we know, the pre-competition friendlies are not typically televised because they're more cornered for the teams involved, hidden away from the public, so they're not able to be analysed by the sides, obviously, in the team's group. But the fact that they drew 0-0 obviously is quite interesting. It is something that maybe could be interesting for us. But I think today apparently they have a friendly against Hong Kong, so we'll see what happens in that. That's another team in our group. So there you go. But Oman, Kyrgyzstan, and Thailand. This is a very hard group to predict, apart from the fact that Saudi will probably top it, let's face it. Second place. Second place, I'm going to go for Oman. They've got a good manager. They've got some good players. They have some players, as far as I'm concerned, that may play in European football. I think I'm right in saying that. Um, Kyrgyzstan did very well in the last Asian Cup. I remember watching that game between them and the UAE. It ended 3-2. They lost in extra time to the hosts. They got robbed in that game as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. We again played them in June, and I think we won 5-1 in their ground, but obviously Kyrgyzstan's expectations were to be at best to qualify as a third place side for the next round. But to be honest with you, they've got to fancy their chances. This is a very open group for second place. Maybe that could actually be to the disservice of the side that finishes third. There may be a few too many draws because between Kyrgyzstan, Oman, and Thailand, how much of a quality gap is there really? Not much. But Saudi are better than all three. I can't see Saudi having an easy game against Oman. This is the thing. But I'd expect them to edge it, maybe 1 or 2-0. Kyrgyzstan and Thailand, I'd expect them to beat. I'm going to go for Oman to finish second behind Saudi, just because, again, like they usually are in these type of competitions. They've got some good players, a good manager, obviously with Branko. Third place, I'm going to go... I'm going to go Thailand. Um, just instinct. I think that the ties will be up for it at this point. It'll be interesting though because Kyrgyzstan obviously. I think both of these sides actually made it to the round of 16 last time. I think Thailand lost to China. From what I remember, they lost the Chinese in the round of 16. They were 1-0 up, and then obviously they lost 2-1 in the end, I believe. But this time round, I think Thailand will finish in third. Will give themselves with a shout. I think this could be a group actually where maybe they get 4 points. Maybe they get the 4 points, and that will be, them being one of the best sides. But also, you could see a situation in this group where many draws happen and the third place side may not go through. I still have my doubts of whether I like the third place system, but all in all, when you look at it, it gives literally every single team in the competition a chance of going through. I don't think there's a single team in this competition that can't go through to the next round. So that's something that I would point out. All in all, I'm gonna go with Saudi top in the group, Oman in second, and I'm gonna go with the Thais to finish in third, and giving themselves a good chance to maybe go through. And fourth, I'm gonna go with Kyrgyzstan. Not gonna be as good as a competition this time around for the Kyrgyz.